Connor Listoka here with a special bonus edition of 372 pages we'll never get back. Joined, as always, by Mike Nelson on the other line. Mike, we finished Modelland. We were in the clear. You know, we were making a prison break, and, you know, we were over the fence. We were, like, you know, about to enter the woods, and we turned to each other and said, I think we made it. And then the light goes on.
The whistles began, the shooting bark started, dogs, and we knew, it was, we were back.
But yeah, we had to read the acknowledgments. Everyone said that the acknowledgments were just as insane as the book was. So we've returned to discuss I believe it was 6 pages of acknowledgments.
Again, I was reading electronically, so it was not as much to me. I didn't read the actual, as you call it, the doorstop of a book.
But yeah, it was people. I don't think we're exaggerating in sort of getting a glimpse into the author's, you know, personal voice, I guess. This was like, I don't know, my initial reaction was like, I will never criticize someone's like Oscar speech again, because those are like a haiku in their succinctness compared to the Modelland acknowledgments. Yeah,
it was a fantastic archaeological tool to see what was, and he gets a mention, of course, Michael Salort, to see who wrote what.
He gets a brief mention, yes.
He gets that's very curious mention as well, which we'll get to in a moment. But yeah, it did give us clues as to what was hers, what was the editor. Also gets a mention. Uh-huh. Well, everyone gets a mention. I mean,
right. She was talking about, Lou Gehrig at some point in time. She talked about Charlemagne, probably.
Yeah, but overall, I think that what the tone of this is it is the ultimate of the late Harris Whittle. Am I getting that right? Mr. Humblebrag himself.
Yep, Harris Whittles,
which I died too young. But yeah, he had I think famously had a Twitter account where he just gathered people's, really? Just little old me? Am I really at the Oscars? This is like that times a million.
Yes, yeah, novel-length Humblebrag.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It is amazing. Yeah, I mean, so do you want to just dive into it?
Yeah, let's do that.
She starts by sort of talking. Well, she says that Modelland started while she was in a cab and on the FDR Drive, and she jotted down the idea for it on a piece of scratch paper and tucked it into my purse. And yes. I was like, what could that have been? Like, what was the, was it just Harry Potter with models? Is that what she wrote down?
That's a good point. I didn't speculate on what the scrap was, but.
Yeah. Feet monster that kills a hairy girl? No, I guess we learned where the idea for the hairy girl came later. So
hairy girl, we get the full story. Was it, it reminded me a little bit of David Letterman, I guess, one time was late in his tenure, or later in his tenure. He famously did not like his job. This is just an anecdote. I have no idea whether this was true, but that he would, during every commercial break, pull out a piece of paper or a pad or something and begin writing.
Yeah.
And then somehow people saw what he was writing, and it was, I hate my job. I hate my job. I hate my job. And I just wonder if Tyra was doing like, modeling sucks. I should write about it. The idea for Modelland came out of that.
Yeah, it was based on, there's a Get a Life with Chris Elliott sketch where he joins the Handsome Boy Modeling School, and just modeling just sucks was a
right.
But yeah, she talks about then goes on to the sort of like settings of where she wrote this, and she starts off by slamming the Hudson River, which I thought was just inappropriate. She says, "Thank you, Hudson River, even if your water is not as blue as I would like it to be." If you're nitpicking a river's hue right off the bat, we're in for some unrelatable content here.
Was it St. Patrick's Day? I don't know. Maybe
right, yes,
dyed it.
You're not expecting it to look like the water off of Anguilla.
But before that, and this is a legitimate question, and maybe someone listening who is, and maybe Laura, and you can challenge her with it. This sounds like a clumsy sentence to me, and this gives me a clue as to how much editing had to go into it. It's the one right before that. From a scrap of paper, comma, Modelland went to paper notebooks that I would write story beats in while sitting by the Hudson River. I mean,
Modelland went to.
Modelland went to paper notebooks that I would write story beats in while sitting on the Hudson River.
Yeah,
by the Hudson River.
By that.
I mean,
jank.
you wouldn't construct it that way if you were starting from scratch, would you?
No, but this is just the sort of thing where it's like we are in the home stretch, and my red pen is on its last legs. It's it's dying. The editor could not be tolerated any more of this.
It's like when I'm signing posters and you're on poster 900 and you should have gotten a new Sharpie a long time ago, but there's a trick to kind of turn the Sharpie around or alter the angle of it. That's what you're doing with your red pen at this point.
She also goes on to then talk about other cafes and stuff where it sounds like she sort of like did the thing where you go in, maybe you order a coffee, and then like the waiter keeps coming up to you being like, anything else? And you're like, oh, I'm good. Or like, another free refill, please. And that's how she claims that she wrote this book. Just like your average, hack screenwriter cliche is hanging out in these coffee shops all day. But she was hanging out not at, Starbucks or Pete's, but at the NoHo Star, Cafe Falai, Balthazar, Kulina at the Four Seasons, the cafe at the Guggenheim Museum. So it's really, you could feel the struggle, I think.
Relatable, sure.
Yeah.
And at every place going like, oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm just writing my novel. And then I have to jet off to my multi-million-dollar company. And then I've got some modeling to do. And I did a little spade work, though, a little gumshoe stuff on these, the places you mentioned. Mm-hmm. Would you like to check in on them, see how they're doing, see what the fame that she bestowed upon them got them?
Oh, boy. Yeah, it sounds, definitely.
Okay, let's check in on them. The NoHo Star.
Okay.
How's it doing? Closed permanently. I don't know who to blame. I don't know if there's any.
Sure, Tyra, global pandemic. It could be.
There might have been other events. I don't know. Delicatessen.
Okay.
Closed.
What was it?
It was a famous delicatessen. It took a lot of work to find delicatessen in New York. Sorry, I skipped a few. Cafe Filet. Filet.
She says Chow Bellows in parentheses there.
I must have skipped Balthazar. Balthazar is still open.
Okay.
$17 Bloody Marys. New York strip steak, $50.
All right. So the guy from Harlem would be impressed.
Mm-hmm. Kulina at the Four Seasons. That is not. There's not one in New York. Right now that I can find. There is one at the Four Seasons in L.A., but she can't have been talking about that, I assume.
No.
She didn't fly out to L.A. and then sit at the Kulina Four Seasons.
Oh, L.A. River, if only your water was more existent than I hoped it would be.
Then there's one called, she hung out a lot at Iris Cafe.
Yep.
Iris Cafe, that took some work, too. There is a Greek restaurant in New York. Seems like a good candidate. Average prices there. Still open.
Okay.
So yeah.
And you have to imagine the Guggenheim's Cafe is probably still up and running, too.
Well, we'll get to that. Selena at Ganasvort Park. Forgive me, New Yorkers. I don't know how to pronounce that. That's closed. The cafe at Guggenheim, closed.
What?
Gets no mention on the website. Last review of it is from 2018.
Holy crap. She's got the touch of death.
Pretty much 40% open. Andaz, Fifth Avenue?
Yeah.
Still open.
Okay. Well,
if we want to go there, we can get a charcuterie board for $47.
God. So yeah, this is not the there were not many other struggling novelists pounding away at these
No. The Crosby Street Hotel Restaurant?
Yeah, that gets a special thanks.
Still open. If we'd like to go there, we could get a hamburger for $27.
God. Well, I
hope the bathrooms write our novels.
I hope the bathrooms are nice because she mentioned she would stay there all day, only getting up for bio breaks.
Yeah, is that What is that? I've never heard that before.
It's not a term that most humans use for going to the bathroom, but like, wow. Well, that's a great insight. I'm glad you took the time to do some menu research and stuff to really drive home how insane it is to be working on a terrible book there.
I can only imagine how I suppose the tips were enough that people put up with it. It has to be.
Yeah, or but what are you going to say? I mean, it's not like they were, she wasn't wearing a fake nose and mustache to try to blend in somewhere. If she was, working on a laptop, I'm sure that would be quite ostentatious. You're probably usually like taking a meeting with someone if you're going to one of these places.
Right, but can you imagine she claims she wrote it on paper and then laptop, because she talks about like snaking cords and stuff, which we'll get to that insufferable moment as well. But she had to be doing the like you say, the ostentatious, like, this is just my iPad, and I'm writing. What's the script template, that final draft?
Have that open.
Everybody, you make sure that you have final draft open. So.
But it had to have been, typing, like the flashback females looked at everyone and then like eyes flit around the restaurant, pulls out her phone, hopes someone will call, calls her manager or whatever and asks if she can get sent to Milan that weekend or something. All right, hard day of writing.
Yeah. Oh, well, I better get another $27 hamburger. That was tough work.
But then she goes on to say, like, my other life being the chairwoman and CEO of the Tyra Banks company did not stop, and the pressure I was under was intense. At times, I had to get away so I could focus on Modelland. And it was just, you're trying to imagine anyone who's like running an actual, the Tyra Banks company, I'm sure there's a clothing line, there's a production company for TV shows, there's, who knows what else, but like, the people working there being like, hey, is the CEO going to be on the meeting today? No, she's working on that book again. I think we're all going to lose our jobs.
Right. And if she was there only taking bio breaks, so, somebody calls her like, we really need to take a meeting with this Milan house, today. And like, well, I'm at a four-top at the Crosby Street Hotel, so just come on over and I'll cut you half my hamburger and we can hash this out.
Yeah, the factory that makes your line of scarves in Bangladesh caught on fire. Like, please, I am writing the scene where they eat slop out of troughs.
The sharpened toenail scene is a hinge point. Please don't interrupt me again. Well, after that insufferable little don't you feel sorry for me thing, because I had to write this. Mm-hmm. She gets into the whole thank you India crap. Those of a certain age will understand that one, where she just starts thanking places. Mm-hmm. And the first one, I'll just read it. Just imagine being so unself-aware that you would type this paragraph.
Please.
Lake Como, thank you for providing me with a beautiful landscape in which to create, and for inspiring the creation of Abigail Good.
The hairy girl.
As I gazed over your water, she popped into my mind. Okay, she understands that the reader will have questions here. And so She says, hair? Water? Not sure what the connection is, but thanks anyway. And then closes off with this. It didn't hurt that George Clooney lived a few doors down.
Whew.
Did it help? Did it have any impact whatsoever?
It's it's hard to write an acknowledgement section, which is essentially nothing but thanking people, and somehow manage to name drop in the section that is nothing but thanking people, who helped you do something.
It is astonishing.
I think George Clooney was like wandering outside, sort of just like, stubbly, like, shaking off a hangover or something. And Tyra Banks is waving at him like, hey, I'm writing a novel. And he's like, what is happening? I'm like, when did she move here?
Once he got wind of it, he started his famous pranks. He would unplug her laptop, so she couldn't.
Yeah, he'd ask the as Asalina at Gansevoort Park Avenue to raise the price of their burger to $49 to really see how she'd react to that. Got you.
And by the way, we didn't. I forgot to mention at the time. A wise waiter that I worked with years ago, when I had some elderly women would perch at my tables and just request more coffee, and so you'd cut them off, hoping they would leave and get annoyed. And this waiter's tip was, no, keep pouring the coffee just endlessly. And then they will have to get up and go to the bathroom so much that it will remind them that they should be getting up and leaving. Otherwise, they will dig in their toes and just like, I will get that next cup of coffee for as God is my witness. So you just like kill them with coffee, but then they're going to the bathroom so much, they're out of there. And it works.
Going to the bathroom, is that like a bio break? I don't
Yeah, bio break. Sorry, I should have used the...
Yeah, I don't know. Like we at some point in time went to a sports bar called Damon's when we were in high school that was famous for having just, enormous like movie theater screens at the every table faced them. We would go there for the NCAA tournament and be like, all right, first game tips off at 10:45 a.m. We will be here all day. And I don't think they could literally kick you out, but we were in high school. We were just getting, sodas refilled. And
my God.
Waiter comes in being like, this is gonna make my, paycheck for the month on this day. And then it's like, oh no.
Oh yeah. You were taking prime real estate?
I don't know. I mean, no one explained that to me as a 16-year-old.
Oh boy.
But yeah, so she goes on to talk about the resort in Morocco she went to with the it describes that someone kept pouring her tea at 3 a.m. So it could have been them trying to get rid of her. She talks about going. That's where I think we mentioned it as a dumb sentence that she read Modelland for half an hour to a bunch of children who didn't speak English somewhere.
Right. And she couldn't believe they let her.
Right.
It's like, what? The kids are looking over their shoulders like, what in God's name is happening?
Right.
Are we allowed to leave?
No, she's going to write us a check if you sit here for 3 more minutes. Like, and that's such a talk about it, the cliche, but the coming back from a retreat or like a mission or a village you visited surrounded by, children of a different ethnicity as becoming like your profile image or something like that. Yeah. is one that was buried, at probably around when she was writing this. So,
right. Make yourself look like a software commercial,
Right.
It's gather together all peoples.
It's the female version of, the guy holding the fish as his profile picture.
Yes. So she gets to go thank Greece. And we get one of the oddest constructions I've ever seen. I don't know. Greece, period. I polished my baby on your soil, period.
Hearing it out loud is even better. I underlined that one too.
I had to finally let her go while I was in your clutches. Hitting the send button while staring at Crete waves was not easy.
Oh,
but oh yes. Ultimate humble brag. But all children must be launched into the world. It was time. So that's a lot of bad sentences in a row.
Man, I polished my baby. Something, I think everyone can, as we were all babies once, so we all probably have stories about the time our parents were polishing us.
Well, I like to think that my parents launched me into the world as well.
I'm just only realizing that, so when did Modelland come out? 2011? We went to Crete on our honeymoon in 2010, so there was a chance that we were staring at the same waves while she was polishing this baby. Wow.
Were you eating a $28 hamburger?
No, I don't think so. We our resort was probably not a place Tyra would sit. It had a chair that injured Lauren's eye, actually. So Tyra probably would have bought and sold them out and ruined them if that had happened.
I vaguely remember that. Was it a folding accident?
It was pretty much a Sideshow Bob rake. She was on one of those like lounge chairs, but a lot of them, it had one piece of fabric, and she like turned around in it, put her hand on the fulcrum of it, and it just like smacked up and hit her like right. She had a black eye for like the whole time we were there.
Oh my God!
Yeah, it was grim. She had to go to like go get stitches in it, like in this weird beach town.
Wow.
Yeah, but that's neither here nor there.
Greece.
Yeah, exactly. It was hard to deal with that while staring at the Crete waves.
Yeah, polishing babies, bloodying eyes. What can't you do, Grease?
But it was a delicious place, as she describes all these places as.
Darling, it was delicious.
But then she goes on to talk about how she's grateful. The place she's most grateful for. This is amazing. This is like when you're telling a kid, you're like, you have a ticket to any adventure you want. Your library card. She said that the place she's most grateful for is the one that exists in some form around the globe, a place we all have access to, the library.
Oh, boy.
And but then she goes on. She somehow manages to whiz, that down her leg. She talks about it's not like she was going to, the library that was in Pacific Beach that I went to, where you'd have people like waiting outside for it to open so they could use the bathroom. She was going to the New York Library for the Performing Arts at Lincoln Center,
yes,
and the Beverly Hills Library. So just real libraries of the people, where people go to get their weekly internet access and stuff.
She wasn't going to the libraries where the homeless guys are using the computers for untoward purposes.
Right. No. They probably libraries where they probably actually charge you to check out the materials.
And then she has this weird. I guess this is at one of the libraries here. She's eating. There's some library where they're making fudge right in the building. And she said that belladonna songwriting worked up my appetite, and the fudge factory is right in your building. The belladonna songwriting worked up an appetite?
I assume that was all, your first instinct when it comes to rhyming and song construction. But I guess she was sitting there powering down maple nut fudge to try to come up with those lyrics.
We should look back at it. I didn't do it. We should look back and see if there's like, oh, to the belladonna, we really like your fudge. I hope when I write a book, the pages do not smudge.
Yeah. We go back and look at it, and there's like just one of the lyrics is just there's tasty. Oh yeah,
sugar actually crunches in your teeth.
She wrote, "I'm licking my fingers" in here. It all makes sense. Yeah, but that's the sort of thing that if you get if you ever read like an anonymous tip in a newspaper, it's like, we've heard that this person has been hanging out at this place where library, and so you're like, which libraries have fudge factories? We got to track down to see where this could have taken place. But I guess that's the Beverly Hills Library.
Yes. Blind item: which flat-footed supermodel might be pounding down fudge? Yeah, that would have been a great one to see.
But she then starts thanking some specific people.
Yeah.
So
restaurants, countries, and beaches,
libraries,
libraries, and now people. Finally, people.
Yeah. So the Harvard Business School and her marketing professor Rohit Deshpande for schooling me on Hindi and Indian culture. I was trying to remember where that came up, other than there was that girl whose family was killed in a Bollywood production.
Yes, I assumed that's what that was.
So she went into her Harvard professor's office hours and asked him to explain, what Bollywood is.
Maybe if I wanted to kill an Indian family, how would I? Right. I'm sorry.
Right. No, please. I am very busy. This is like, how did you get in here? Are you? But she says my marketing professor.
Please, you're getting fudge all over my desk.
Who else? Who else did she?
The next person that I have is Michael Solort. Here's what she says about him. He's the only person in these acknowledgments, of course, that was ever mentioned by name.
Right. On our podcast.
On our podcast, we might have mentioned George Clooney, but not as her neighbor while she was writing there in Lake Como.
We were just talking about our dream prom dates when we mentioned him.
Yes, right. Michael Solort, can you believe it's a real book now? And there's no way in the world I could have done Man Attack without you. For that and so much more, there's a little and the rest, I am forever grateful.
Yeah.
So according to him, he was co-architect of this book at the very least.
Yes, yeah. I mean, he said ghostwriter. He said he took an outline and essentially, and so then he pretty much gets credited. Man Attack was obviously one of the worst sections of the book, where it's just like the guy making, we said like sexual crypt keeper puns.
Yes.
Where he's like, look at Chaste. She'll put you on the rack, and I don't mean the torture rack. Like that level of thing was.
There's snacks are going around. The only thing I'd like is a nice hot dog in my bun. Stuff like.
Yeah,
so that might have literally been one.
So if Salort cracks this open and it's like he's like expects to be leading this, and he's like, okay, well no, she's thanking the Hudson River, but I'm sure it's coming around here. Like, okay, no, polishing babies in Greece. Okay, Harvard Business School. When did she go there? What?
Yeah.
But then again,
I hope
it's like, maybe he made the whole thing up. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. But that's why I want to know when this came out. Did anyone do a little Twitter trolling with, directly address the two of them? Hey, Michael, did you write it, or did you just write the man attack thing and then copy Tyra on it and see if you could get something going?
Right. Yeah. Or just posting things that like insinuating like, wow, someone got really undersold in the acknowledgments, and he just likes it without saying anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the talk about the plot thickens. I think if we were doing a investigative thing, we'd have to get him on the horn and grill him about this. But I imagine that any sort of ghostwriting comes with a decent is it NDA?
NDA, yeah. I'm sure he cannot break that. I'm surprised he was able to even say that he had a part in it at all.
But it was on that weird website. It was on some weird, thing that you'd never come across. It was like he had entered a contest or something.
Right. But, I mean, they're really strict. I think I've said it before on this podcast that I've known at least 2, possibly 3 people who wrote famous books for famous people, and their NDAs are like, no, I cannot tell you a single word. I'm like, can you give me any hint about who the person might be? They're like, I cannot. Obviously can't do that.
Find a library with a Fudge factory. That's all I can say.
Another person that I did a little research on, she's thanked Janice Y.K. Lee, who wrote a book called The Piano Teacher.
Yes.
Semi well received, and they don't look like they're burning up the world or anything.
Okay.
But since then, she's written 2 more books, including a short story titled simply "Bush."
Oh boy.
I'm not sure what it's about, but it got like 1.5 stars,
which
is stunning for Amazon. Like stunning. So
yeah,
that's as far as I went with it.
Armada, I think, clocks in at 3.
Yeah.
Every other book that we've read that's, ironically bad has more than that. Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we should cue that up next. I like this person that she thanks because it really comes off as more of a threat. Tama Smith, your business advice is my saving grace. Look for your name in Modelland too. Bone chilling.
Yes. No, please, no.
She also then, so after Janice Y.K. Lee, she talks about, she thanks Stephen King personally. It does seem like she acknowledges it's a name drop. She says, people are going to assume we're friends now. But she thanks him for his instructional book / memoir on writing, which, like, if anyone knows anything about that, he says, like, don't use adverbs. That's like a little rant he does in there. I read it 10 years ago. And then, so I was like, oh, well, that's hilarious that because she failed. She uses suddenly, alone probably 80 times. And then she says, I may have failed when it comes to your advice that you should not use too many adverbs and adjectives. And then she just jokes about that afterwards, like, but Modelland is so splendiferously, kaleidoscopically out of the world colorful, I couldn't help myself.
Yeah, I thought it was stunning because I think that's the one thing you've brought up about that book is that, don't do that.
Right.
And there are other writers, especially like column writers, say just don't use any, just get your ideas across short, quick, don't do that. But doing that and then making a joke about it, well, at first writing a 1,000-page book crammed with them does not, and then making a toss-off joke about it, I don't think that absolves you of, like, you don't get to thank me,
Yeah, it would be
after you've broken my cardinal rule.
Yeah, it'd be like, if in his book, like, Howard Stern thanked, the Tao Te Ching or something for all the wisdom it's imparted to him. And it's like, well, I don't really see this reflected as you're asking, asking Sarah Michelle Gellar what size bra she wears, sir. Like,
right. Yes. And then she makes the, as if it weren't explicit, we already knew, but what is it? Mary Jane? I can never remember.
Oh, Mary Sue?
Right. Mary Sue, sorry. Thank you for letting this big foreheaded, flat-footed, skinny calved? Was that part of it?
I mean, who knows? As she was describing herself, like, I don't know.
Cellulite dimpled butt girl be part of your world.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
This is the one part I kind of liked, because I thought that, I was like, it would be cool if more book acknowledgments mentioned the author's ass.
That is true.
If that was coming up in like James Michener books and stuff.
Tom Clancy. He never gave a description of his own ass.
Right. But that's just, I think that we speculated early on, or maybe Bridget pointed it out or something, that she thought it was a stand-in there. And so I went and looked her up, Tyra. I was like, Tyra Banks High School. And there's pictures of her there where she, she looks different in some of them. But there was one thing that was like, in the yearbook where it was like, Tyra's going to be the future, like, model of, best model in the world or something like that. So even though she was sort of awkward looking, I guess she had those plans, and people were down with them.
Yeah. But no, well, you couldn't see a shot of her calves. So she was on the volleyball team.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she also makes it explicit here. We knew this was true. To my editor, Wendy Logia. I don't have no relation.
Logia?
Yes. I'll eat it now. Thank you for taking my first 1,000-page manuscript. I know, insane, and making it this. So that page, or that book, it exists somewhere.
Right.
And I just want to say, I'd give one of the jackals 50 cents per page for reading it.
Oh, I thought you were going to say for hacking into the, the Simon & Schuster server and discovering it. Random House, I guess.
Well, if they do the whole schmear, I'll do $1 per page.
Okay.
If you hack it, read it, and report to us.
Right, because it's going to end up being like, there it could be like the Stand expurgated edition to like go back, and there could just be stuff like a paragraph here. It's not necessarily like whole subplots that got cut out. So you'd probably have to start at the beginning and read through and see what was different.
Right. Point is, if we ever unearthed it, I would not read it, but I would pay. I'd pay a reader.
Yeah, to hop on and give us the rundown like Jeffrey did with the rest of the Cozy verse.
Yes. Yep. I'd do that. I'd pay money.
Well, after she thanks the editor, who says she says, how the heck do you know how to do that and not sacrifice the story? So again, like there's the story wasn't sacrificed here. It really seemed like there was a just bits and pieces of sort of doled out, and then all came to a head at the end.
I wonder when that person saw it, whether they just said like, "How did I do it?"
Right.
By hacking it to pieces with a. I mean,
yeah, blindfolded darts.
Yeah. Well, also, as we noted, it was just like go into this building, get tortured there for a while. Mm-hmm. She just had to like circle 5 of those, and then another 5, and then as they went to each station to be tortured, just like, yeah, we don't need to see them tortured here. You tortured them there.
Right.
We can take out this torture, the one where you go to hell and actually torment each other in hell. We'll take that out.
The part where bandits break into the De La Crumb house while everyone else is away, and they tie his father up and set him on fire, trying to find out where he keeps the money is. Like that, we don't need that in there. It doesn't. We'll just never mention him again. That'll be much less jarring.
Right. One of the persons she thanked was a fella named Howard Perlman, and it was enigmatic enough that I wanted to look up who he was, because he had something called like Flashpoint or something. And like, what in the world is Flashpoint?
He's full of passion for Flashpoint.
Yeah. So I found I assume it's his autobiography because it's on his page.
Does he claim he's the ghostwriter of Modelland as well?
Well, let me just give you an idea of the kind of influence he had over her as I read the first sentence, just the first sentence of Howard Tolman's autobiography.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Hang on, I'm going to get a sip of water before I read the first sentence.
Should I take one as you're reading it?
Mm-hmm. Okay, take a long sip of water. Here we go. As the founding executive director of the Ed Kaplan Family Institute for Innovation and Tech Entrepreneurship at the Illinois Institute of Technology and the first university professor now retired and the current general managing partner for the Chicago High-Tech Investment Partners, LLC, Ooh. And for G2T3V, LLC, two early-stage venture funds, as well as an active board member for a number of tech startups, Howard Tolman is a highly sought-after educator, author, venture investor, technology advisor, and business leader.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, really. Well done, sir.
So you can see where she gets her succinctness.
Maybe get Wendy Logia in there to edit down your bio, man.
Good Lord.
That sounds like some jargony synergy circling back.
Drilling
talk
down.
To me, yeah.
Sure does.
He's providing solutions.
Absolutely. But also
enterprise systems.
It's got all the things. It's like poorly written, hard to understand. Braggy as all get out. Mm-hmm. And yeah, just so was he telling her like this sentence should be way longer?
Does he not mention Flashpoint
though? That might be the next. He's just getting warmed up, is
right.
what I'm
saying. Yeah, sure.
That was just.
That's in sentence 3, which is 700 words from there, so you didn't get there. I understand.
There's also a little bit of Dwight David Thrash in there with lots of jargony. Tech Investment Partners, LLC, and for this is literally the name, G2T3V, LLC.
That sounds like
an early stage
MAC
venture.
Address.
Yes. It was one of those ads they put out so that you can't possibly answer it. They give you an email address so complex that you can...
Wow.
We put an ad out, nobody applied.
Oh. Well, yeah, that sounds like the type of guru that could get in. You know, he's Grima worm-tonguing someone with their business acumen or something like that. To just sort of skimming off the top. That it has that sort of vibe to it.
I assume there was a lot of like press your palms together and put your fingers to your lips kind of moments with Tyra.
Yeah.
Well, listen, Tyra, as a highly sought-after educator, author, venture investor, technology advisor, and business leader, I think you should make Abigail even hairier.
No, yeah, that's great. That Fudge. She goes on to then. I mean, do you have any more specific call-out she wants to talk about?
Just the sudden flurry of Walt Disney coming up.
Yeah, right. But before that, she issues another threat because she thanks us and everybody else that listened along with us and read. She says, "To you, the person reading this book, my first novel, what can I say to express my deepest gratitude?" And that's just that's just one of those chilling moments where like there is another one type of thing. Like, yes. Oh dear, like it's out there somewhere. Who knows at what. At the what 3-starred Michelin restaurant she's currently taking up a table at, pounding the keys away.
Oh, dear reader, you will be eating my ice cream at a 3-year-old's birthday party. You don't know it yet.
Right, someone out there will be doing this. Like, oh man, yes. The ice cream was good. That's there was no. Fake, it didn't have fake sugar or anything in it. I thought it was going to be like loaded up with like stevia, like that other ice cream that's Halo Top, type of thing. It was full milk fat, real sugar, like caramel in it. Like it was, it's not messing around. I bet it's expensive, but you wouldn't go wrong if you picked it out if it was on sale.
Well, unless you're trying to make a fake or low cal ice cream, it's sort of hard to imagine screwing it up.
True, that's true too.
3 ingredients.
Yeah. But yeah, she moves on to discussing her hero,
Walt Disney.
Walt Disney, yes, that's her brother. I guess her brother and Walt are her heroes, which unexpected. I would say that was not something I was going to hear.
Walt Disney, known for bringing kids into a magical world where he tortures them, hacks their lips open,
right,
pulls their teeth out with magnets.
Yeah. The most sanitized environment on Earth, to its credit, and I guess to its detractors, its detriment. But the idea of it's like, what was your takeaway here? Was it the scene in Pinocchio where they take all the boys to that Pleasure Island and turn them into donkeys? Like
that could be.
I guess it might be.
But yeah, then another call out, our mutual love of all things Walt Disney has shown us that all dreams are possible. Thanks for exposing even more of Mr. Disney's life to me. You and Walt are my heroes. So really laying it on thick, yeah.
Yeah. What aspects? Like, doesn't Walt Disney have some weird things in his background? Wasn't he? I mean, wasn't he cozying up to people in World War II or something like that?
Yeah, I don't know how much. I've never read the bios of him. I have people that I respect say that all of that is overblown, that he
really?
was not.
Okay.
Yeah, that there's even people who hated him. It's like a Richard III thing. A lot of people hated him, and so they spread rumors about him. So I honestly don't know. I don't know. Well, but I don't want to slander.
Maybe she got into the room where they keep his head frozen and got to have a little one-on-one time. She pulled the
that must be as troubling, because I assume that's 100% false. That must be as troubling as the Richard Gere rumor.
Right.
Just like, come on, man.
Yeah. Like, if anything, like what is that technology going to look like whenever he died in 1960 something? Like,
right.
They're just got
Speaking of ice cream, you're scraping the crystals off the top of it.
Yeah, really. Yeah. Oh man, it got more freezer burn. But I don't know, like the early Disney movies, there's disturbing stuff happening in a lot of them. It's a cliche to talk about how often parents die, so I guess that could have been one of her takeaways too.
That's true, yeah.
But yeah, she talks about how her dad would take her to Disneyland multiple times a year when she was young, and how experiencing that magical place allowed me to dream up Modelland, which is as far away as you could possibly get from. Mr. Toad's Wild Ride and the Carousel of Progress is the Hunchy crawling over the thing with his skin hanging off of his body and luring people to be killed by arm monsters in a lake on the path of hell up the mountain.
Oh, Hunchy. We'll never have to read about you again. We get a little sense of her liking to create her weird words that only annoy. She says thanks to her dad for always calling to check up on me. You seem to have some sixth sense for when I am stressed. Yeah. SIXX, like Nikki Sixx.
Yep. Is that
Buster loves you? I assume she's talking about Arrested Development Buster there. I don't know.
That was her intention there. Let's see if we can find a picture of Buster. Real time here. Tyra Banks, baby boy. Do I mean Tyra Banks' sister or Tyra Banks' poster? No. All right. I don't know if there's any way we can find Buster. Oh well.
There's a couple of things. Buster. Do you think that means son? Do you think it means dog, or do you think it's a weird nickname for her?
Oh, I guess it could be.
She's revealing, just as a cute. You used to call me Buster or something.
I guess that could be it. I mean, so the little wink, and Dad is clearly not reading these acknowledgments. So it's like, you're a busy woman, Tyra. I'm trying to keep up with all your stuff, but this is a little too far here. If this wasn't dedicated to me in the beginning, I forget who it was dedicated to, but like, oh, Mom and Daddy, for being absolutely positively nothing like Mr. and Mrs. De La Creme.
Well, then we end with, I think we knew this or we hinted at this, the reveal of Seal, or CL?
Well, CL, yeah, because it means to see love.
See love.
Yeah.
And that's her mom.
The original CL, yep, is her mother.
The original CL.
Who took her author jacket picture.
Mm-hmm. And... I'm kind of a fan of, there's very few people in this book who I'm a fan of. George Clooney would be one of them.
George Clooney, O'Neill, and...
Yeah, George Clooney, who I assume was when she'd look over at him, that was the model for Decca or what?
Oh, Bravo? Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
George must have just if he saw her writing Modelland, she waves. He just fires up the leaf blower or something.
Yeah. he shakes off one of the two models from his arms and grabs the leaf blower. So here's Mom. Thank you for taking your precious time to read every last word of that first 1,000-page manuscript and giving me the harsh, unfiltered truth. How long was that meeting?
Oh, my God. Unfiltered.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, page 2. Oh, my God. We've been here an hour.
There was a Peanuts arc back in the day that I remember where Lucy prepared a slideshow of all of Charlie Brown's faults. And there was he just has this shaken, ashen look, and it's oh, this is just the intermission when Linus asks him what's going on. So that must have been what that was like.
Wow. And that pretty much closes it out.
Yeah, she says, "Long live the original CL," and that's the Modelland acknowledgments. We get a little author bio, and whew.
Oh, there's one thing I forgot. I didn't take it as a note, but now that I see it here, I remember is that one of her mentors said you can't use the word supermodel.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And so she cogitated on that for some time while eating 1.5 pounds of maple rum.
Yeah.
And she came up with Intoxabella.
Yeah, it was you have to just imagine it's being you got to invent something we can trademark, like the reason all those Amazon companies, all those AliExpress brands have terrible names. You just got to do something that can be yours, even if it doesn't exist anywhere else and means nothing. So,
right.
Maybe like RuPaul had supermodel trademarked too.
Oh, that could be, yeah.
But yeah, that's the type of advice she was getting. I don't know, Tyra. It's 1 a.m. Quit waking me up. Just think of another word for supermodel, okay? Please leave me alone.
I heard in a recent documentary about The Who that Pete Townsend brought the whole rock opera to a trusted friend who was sort of a roustabout. I don't think he was even in the business. And he's and at that point, Tommy was a rock and roll star. And the guy goes, "Don't you think that's a little on the nose, mate?" It's come on, man. And he goes, what if he's a pinball player? Because they like to play pinball together. And he goes, "Okay." And he goes home and writes Pinball Wizard that night.
Good Lord.
The friend was I'm trying to get drunk here. Get away from me. Yes. What if he's a pinball player?
Yeah, that's I don't know, Pinball Wizard?
Yeah. Looks around at what he's currently playing. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. But you're cheating on Rush documentaries with Who documentaries?
Yeah, it's the exact same thing. I'm not a fan of their music. In fact, I've never owned an album of either one of them. Mm-hmm. But I saw a doc on them, and I'm these guys seem okay. They seem like they had a pretty cool relationship. They didn't get into too much trouble that I know of, and they seemed to like each other. They weren't snapping at each other. They're they're
That's
still
nice.
working together.
Yeah.
It was all very easy for them. So yeah, I like Who documentaries and Rush documentaries, but neither band. All
right. Well, I await the day that they release a heartwarming documentary about MCR that we can discuss on here.
Hoobastank.
You're leading the Oscar charge for the Hoobastank documentary. Oh man. Well, I think that closes the book here.
I think so. There's no reason to talk about the author. We know about her already.
Yeah. Should we? We gotta send these books to someone. So I guess email 372pages@gmail.com with giveaway in the subject line, and we can sign and send these out to everybody.
We will drain the 372 pages coffers when we try to do the shipping on these books. But
right,
that's on us.
We'll hire a pack mule or something.
Yeah. If it comes in a pallet that says Fragile on it, you'll know it's from us.
Yes. If you live in Crete, we're not sending it there. You enjoy your ocean views, and we're not paying that freight. We'll send it. Tyra can bring it when she does her quarterly retreat there.
Right. All right. Well, that's it.
Yeah. All right.
Goodbye, Modelland.
Yeah. Good riddance, I'd say.
And thanks, Patreon people.
Thanks, Patreon people. We'll be in touch. Something new coming soon.
All right. So long.
Bye.